So if your goal is to gain as much muscle as possible, you're going to need carbohydrates and more of it. However, if your goal is to lose fat and get lean, you're still going to need carbs to help you retain the muscle while you're losing the fat and getting ripped. Either way, you need carbs, no matter what anyone else tells you. Remember, your muscles and brain runs on sugar, or more specifically glucose. So I'll keep this really simple, all right? Basically, all carbohydrates will convert to glucose, which is basically sugar. So keep this in mind. Carbs convert to glucose, which is sugar. Now, it's very hard for the average genetic person who is not taking steroids or similar drugs to gain muscle or a lot of muscle on a keto or carnivore type diets, and thus basically no carbohydrate diets. Certainly not long term. Now listen, I've had competitor bodybuilder clients of mine with great genetics, all right, and taking lots of drugs, not grow much muscle being on low carb diets. The minute I manipulated their carbs and increased it, they gained between 10 to as much as 30 pounds of stage weight, which is basically all muscle. And that's what you're going to learn today. So if this is something that you want, make sure you're subscribed and click the notification icon so you get notified for future topics about gaining muscle and losing fat. Because listen, the truth with all this is that carbohydrates are not evil. Remember, your muscles and brain run on carbohydrates. Even breast milk for a growing baby is primarily made of carbs, not protein. Now, you'll hear some experts saying that your body or brain, actually your brain might prefer ketones, but that's false, all right? Ketones are for survival, not for growth. There may not be any essential carbohydrates like there are essential amino acids and fatty acids, but carbs are utilized best by the body, especially if you work out, lift weights, and want to grow muscle. However, too many of the wrong kinds of carbs, eaten in excess, all right? Too many carbs, eating in excess is bad for you. And this can be said about all macronutrients, including proteins and fats, all right? Wrong, bad proteins, bad fats are also bad for you. Also, the most important thing you need to do here is improve your insulin sensitivity. When you're young, you got great insulin sensitivity. When you get old, poor insulin sensitivity. And the better your insulin sensitivity, the more muscle and less fat you'll be. Some of the guys with the best genetics, all right, all the bodybuilders have super insulin sensitivity. And lifting weights and having more muscle will improve insulin sensitivity. So that's really good. In fact, taking specific supplements such as berberine or cinnamon extract or alpha lipoic acid or bitter melon or vanadyl sulfate and a few others will dramatically promote healthy blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity. This is super important. Taking like an all-in-one formula called blood sugar optimizer, which is what I've been using for over 20 years, has all this stuff in there and other ones. And I'll put a link directly below this video for blood sugar optimizer if you want more details. All right, so now that we know the facts, let's talk about using carbs or sugars for gaining muscle and losing fat. All right, so let's talk about first gaining muscle. I'll keep this really, really basic. When it comes to gaining muscle, there's two steps. There is an anabolic process, which basically means an increase in protein synthesis. Then there is an anti-catabolic process, which is the decrease in protein oxidation or the decrease in protein breakdown. For example, testosterone is anabolic to muscle growth. It grows muscle. However, the stress hormone cortisol does the opposite. It's catabolic to muscle growth, meaning it breaks down muscle tissue and it's very, very powerful. So we want to increase anabolism and protein synthesis. For example, increase testosterone levels. This happens both men and women. It doesn't really matter what your sex is. But at the same time, we want to minimize catabolism from cortisol and other stress hormones and thus lowering excess cortisol. And one of the most potent, natural, anti-catabolic, cortisol-reducing nutrients is carbohydrates and sugar. In fact, the rise in insulin from carbs and sugar is both anabolic and anti-catabolic. This is why bodybuilders and even long distance runners and cyclists use injectable insulin, all right? Very anabolic, very anti-catabolic. However, using injectable insulin is another topic in another video. So when it comes to gaining muscle, the most important times for eating the most carbs is, first of all, post-workout, all right? After your workout, you want to fill up your glycogen levels since they are just got depleted from that hard workout, lifting weights and all that stuff. Also, you're super insulin sensitive after the workout, right? So that's really good. So the carbohydrates and sugars get absorbed best and have a much lower chance of converting to body fat at this time. Lastly, you want to lower the catabolic cortisol hormone after your workout to reduce muscle catabolism induced by hard training. So after the workout, you want to have faster digesting carbs that will help increase your insulin and blood sugar levels more. The foods, that I typically eat at this time are like white rice or maybe some cereals and fruits such as bananas and pineapples. Again, you want to have higher glycemic index carbs fast digesting. The next time is before bed. Another opportunity time is the last meal of the day before bed. More carbohydrates, remember, lower cortisol, which is what we want before bed. High cortisol levels means more adrenaline, so now it's harder to sleep. Higher cortisol also doesn't allow your sleep hormone melatonin to be released. So we want low cortisol so melatonin can go up. However, before bed, we want slower burning, lower glycemic carbs, such as my favorites are yams or maybe legumes and like berries, like, blueberries and so forth. This way, there aren't, sugar and insulin spikes in the middle of the night, which will probably end up waking you up. So we don't want that. We want slow burning carbs before bed. Now, another important time for higher carbs is at breakfast. Listen, you just slept at least 8 hours of sleep, right? Carbs are being depleted and you want to fill up your muscle glycogen stores again. So time to have carbs for breakfast. Now, at this time, I actually do prefer slower burning carbs in the morning. For example, maybe Ezekiel bread or yams or something like that. This also keeps my energy levels more stable because it's slower burning carbs. Unfortunately, most people have junky carbs such as cereals and breads and muffins and juice and other breakfast foods, which just make you tired because of the high blood sugar and high insulin. And then a couple hours later, it just crashes. I don't want this. I'm working. I need to stay focused. I need to have energy. So I want slower burning, lower glycemic carbs at breakfast. Another time is pre-workout, all right? Because we can't forget about that pre-workout meal, all right? So some people like to have lots of sugars before the workout, fast-acting carbs. Maybe a lot of these pre-workout drinks have that. I don't like this because it shoots up my insulin and blood sugar levels, and therefore, like an hour later into my workout, I'll get tired and lethargic. That's the last thing I want before my workout, all right? I want to be still amped up. Also, remember how I said carbs lower cortisol, the stress hormone? That's good after the workout or before bed, but not before your workout. Actually, you want some higher cortisol levels before your workout because higher cortisol means more adrenaline. Before the workout, you'll be stronger, you'll be more motivated. So that's what we want before. Cortisol is not bad. Every hormone is good. Before the workout, higher. After the workout, lower. So I like to have a protein shake before my workout. I want something simple and easy to digest, something small. I typically have whey isolate mixed with a slower burning carbohydrate. It's such as highly branched cyclic dextrin. All right. Now this carb source quickly passes through my stomach, right? It's easier to tolerate and typically won't cause gastrointestinal discomfort like most carbohydrate drinks do. So this is really important. You're going to do a workout, leg workout. The last thing you want is stomach problems. And because the highly branched cyclic dextrin has a lower glycemic index, it won't spike up your blood sugar levels. Unlike the pure glucose or dextrose or maltodextrin like found in a lot of drinks, this means steady energy for the workout, which is what I want. Note also with all these the carb meals, especially the higher carb meals, I do take about 1 or 2 blood sugar optimizers with all my carb meals. Again, it helps promote healthy blood sugar levels and insulin sensitivity, which means we better utilize the carbs from all these meals. That means more muscle and less body fat. Okay, so that's gaining muscle. But what if your goal is fat loss? What if you want to get leaner and get ripped abs? Honestly, I suggest doing almost everything I suggested for the gaining muscle, but just lower your total carbohydrate calories. Listen, when it comes to dieting, the most important time for the extra carbs is, again, after your workout. Basically, you want to fill up the glycogen stores in the muscle because you just worked out, and you want to lower catabolic hormones like cortisol that I mentioned. Plus, again, your insulin sensitivity is super high after the workout, so the carbs will get utilized best, less chance of turning into body fat. Now, for the rest of your meals, I suggest you basically go on a lower total carbs, right? And select more slow burning, lower glycemic carbs. That's what I would suggest on all the other meals. I would also reduce or maybe even eliminate fruits if you want to get super lean, or maybe just have a little bit of berries, again, blueberries and raspberries and things like that. Again, take blood sugar optimizer with all the carb meals. Now, what about proteins and fats? All right. Again, today's topic was about sugar and carbs. However, what about those proteins and fats? Now, I'll keep this super simple. When you want to ingest about 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, you eat 200 grams of animal protein. And this also includes dairy, such as whey isolate. You got to have way more if you're going to go purely vegetarian. Now, when dieting and going very low carbs, all right, you may need to increase your protein intake to as much as 1.5 grams per pound of body weight. So if you weigh 200 pounds, instead of doing the 200 grams that I mentioned earlier, you eat 300 grams. So instead of 1 gram per pound, you do 1.5. So 200 pounds, 300 grams. As far as fats, honestly, I like to keep mine to a minimum. I have 6 to 8 grams of fish oil daily. That's a lot, but it helps insulin sensitivity. It has so many benefits. I also take about 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil daily, and that's it. All right, that's when I'm getting all my essential fats. And that's when I'm trying to gain muscle or lose fat. That's as much fat as I take. The rest of my fats will probably just come from the lean proteins that I eat. All right. So if you're trying to gain muscle or losing fat, you mainly want to manipulate your carbs, the amount of carbs or the type of carbs. So whether you're trying to gain muscle or eating less when trying to get lean. Now let's summarize this. All right. Carbs can either be good or bad for you, depending on the type or amount of carbs, as well as the time you consume them. Now, more carbs when trying to gain muscle and less carbohydrates when getting leaner. The most important time for the extra carbs is post-workout, whether you're trying to gain muscle or losing fat. And some of my clients, they have almost 40 to 50% of their daily carbohydrate calories after the gym, especially when they're trying to diet and just maximize that one great window of opportunity to improve insulin sensitivity. Also, take your blood sugar optimizer with all your carb meals. Most importantly, get quality sleep. That's right. Sleep improves insulin sensitivity and all your other hormones. You'll be able to eat more carbs doing what I suggested today and have more muscle and lose fat and be healthier in the process by improving your blood sugar and insulin levels and utilizing everything that I mentioned. Again, I hope this was helpful. If it was, share it, thumbs up, subscribe, click the notification icon, and then also in the comments, let me know what questions you have, maybe what you need clarity about, or what you want me to dig deeper in future videos about this topic, whether it's gaining muscle, losing fat, or blood sugar levels. As always, take a look at the links below as well in the description area. I've got lots of other topics and videos and the supplements and so forth to help you achieve your goals with less effort and time and give you more clarity. As always, thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and I wish you a very happy and healthy day.